What if all that personal development guidance is really making things worse? We've developed a complete industry premised on us being fundamentally incomplete, constantly tinker with ourselves like defective machines. However, here's the shocking truth. The basic idea that you need fixing is the only actual problem. Imagine a wave in the ocean suddenly gaining consciousness and panicking because it's not solid like a rock, because it ceaselessly changes contours. The wave would attempt mending itself to achieve consistency. How ridiculous would that sound? Yet, this is exactly the way we humans function daily. The wave is already whole, yet we've sold ourselves the idea that we're imperfect undertakings needing continuous rebuilding. We've been fed an inverted narrative. You carry troubles needing fixing, parts demanding betterment. And if you work sufficiently hard and discover correct technique, you can eventually repair yourself and become your intended self. This story is so woven into our culture that we rarely question it. We accept our status as perpetual works in progress. But what if this core belief is wholly upside down? Here's something radical. You are never incomplete, never a problem needing solution. The only thing requiring repair is a belief that you need repairing. Consider the natural world. When you witness a tree, you don't rate its limbs as substandard. The tree is glorious precisely as it exists. It evolves and adjusts to its context, yet doesn't convene sessions about self-development. We as humans have cultivated this ability to become our own judges and supervisors. We gaze in the mirror and observe a restoration case requiring effort. Trees learn too, learning which direction to expand toward light, how to extend roots further down. However, trees don't afflict themselves over insufficient size. They react organically to what existence offers. The distinction is trees have faith in their nature, while we've been programmed to mistrust ours. We've been taught to consider our impulses unreliable, our reactions probably inaccurate. So we construct an internal overseer judging everything we undertake. Am I delivering enough results? Am I evolving at the correct rate? It's draining, like harboring an obsessive managing your thoughts, perpetually judging you insufficient. However, this overseer isn't who you are. It's incorporated criticisms, adopted expectations from family, educators, and culture. You've internalized a committee making you feel perpetually inadequate. However, who notices this board? Who sees these appraisals? Something in you watches this drama without being caught up. That presence is your authentic self. You're not the concepts about who you are. You are the consciousness where all this arises like climate conditions across sky. The sky is never impaired by atmospheric phenomena. Tempests arrive and depart, yet the sky remains infinite. Likewise, thoughts lacking emerge and fade, but your nature remains untouched. You can make changes and grow without the tale that you're inherently flawed. Notice young children mastering walking. They stumble perpetually. Do they form narratives about being damaged? Never. They stand and retry because walking seems entertaining. Learning unfolds naturally, lightheartedly, without self-evaluation. There are two paths to change. One presumes you're damaged, like a technician repairing a defective motor. The other realizes you're already perfect, like a gardener trusting innate flourishing. The mechanic wrestles while the gardener works alongside nature. Most development approaches are mechanical. We treat ourselves like robots requiring better software. Yet, what if you're more like a garden with organic wisdom? When you believe in this wisdom, you discontinue fighting against yourself. Instead of compelling yourself into structures, you allow your nature to unfold. When you stop combating yourself, you free immense energy for being alive. Consider how much energy you spend evaluating yourself. Imagine if that energy were available for being present. The person who comprehends their entire channel's energy into expression and discovery. Here's something remarkable. When you discontinue attempting to mend yourself, matters you assume needed correction often handle themselves. When you end producing self-critique, your mental clarity settles. Much of what we think is wrong emerges from trying to repair what was never broken. You might assume you have an anxiety disorder and implement methods to resolve it, but this effort creates more anxiety. What if feeling anxious occasionally is perfectly normal? When you end viewing anxiety as a problem, it frequently vanishes organically. We've been programmed to believe we should experience particular feelings: content, self-assured, tranquil. Yet feelings are the climate of awareness, sometimes tempestuous, sometimes peaceful. This isn't a problem. The identical principle applies to personality aspects we consider flaws. Maybe you're introspective in a culture praising outgoingness. Rather than adjusting these qualities, understand them as your singular contribution. Oaks don't attempt becoming pine trees. Rivers don't apologize for failing to be mountains. When you embrace your essence fully, something remarkable happens. You cease depleting vitality, being what you aren't. This doesn't suggest you never develop, but growth springs from interest rather than deficiency. You learn because growth is fun. Kids don't effort at creativity. They simply dream naturally and effortlessly. We acquire the habit of mistrusting organic intelligence. We've turned our inner life into a corporation with performance reviews. However, your authentic nature persists, waiting for you to recognize you were never flawed from the start. Here's an apparent contradiction. The harder you try to perfect yourself, the more you emphasize needing development. But when you see you were never defective, evolution happens naturally without strain. When you rely on your nature, development unfolds like blossoms blooming magnificently in their own time. This isn't indifference, but trust in the intelligence that beats your heart. So here's a suggestion. Carry out a test. For a single day, cease trying to improve yourself. View that day as a gift to embrace. Face feelings without transforming them. Witness thoughts without critiquing. Regard yourself like a close companion, with tenderness, patience, and lightheartedness. You may find you're splendid precisely as you exist. This is a profound truth. You were never flawed. You're already complete, already full, already sufficient. You're not removed from existence. You are life manifesting in human shape, and life is celebration. We're all waves on the same ocean, each distinct, each whole, each fleeting. When you comprehend this as lived truth, you can finally sink into being who you are. Who you genuinely are is more stunning than who you think you should be. You don't require transforming into something more like existence because you are life delighting in being you. The wave is the ocean playing at being a wave. If this truth connected with you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to the channel. Follow for more content that challenges traditional beliefs about personal evolution and self-improvement. And share a comment below with the word whole to show me you're prepared to embrace your total, intact nature exactly as you exist at this instant.